Every year, there's no shortage of YouTubers or influencers online that'll try to tell you that Sony is just the king of everything. It gets really annoying and it makes you wonder, is it really? So then you approach it with an open mind, you buy the product, you get it home, and you see, okay, what can it actually do? And then when you start running tests with real time content of things you'd actually watch, movies, TV shows, streaming apps, and services, you start to notice problems with the Sony. At least if you're honest with yourself. I mean, what you say online is an entirely different story, but when you're home and you're watching horizontal panning and you're seeing that motion blur that looks like an after image, you can't help but understand that Sony is not what they used to be in terms of motion. So then you start looking at what they're offering from it, the gaming perspective. And while fun and everything, you start to notice that you don't have a lot of the features that some of the other brands have. The big and most notable one, Samsung with their 144 hertz, and LG having all four HDMI 2.1 ports. Again, these are things that you just don't have on the Sony that cost more money. And by more money, I mean a 55-inch going for $3,000 is ridiculous. To put that in perspective for those who maybe have been out of the TV buying market for a while, um, a 65-inch quantum dot OLED, the Samsung S90C to be specific, doesn't even cost that much. I'll see you and raise you. 77 inches isn't even going to cost you that much. You'll probably pay like what, 24.99 or something like that. It gets to such a point where you're watching the price of Sony supersede everything. I mean, even a 65-inch LG G3 isn't going to cost you as much as a 55-inch Sony A95L. That's a point of gross overprice nonsense. Like, why they feel they need to charge that, I'll never know. And why people feel they need to pay that, I'll never know. But I have never been more disgusted watching a television come in at a price point and then watch it constantly get beaten. I mean, I started exploring things like the audio and I was like, okay, is the audio good on the television? No, it's not. Level 15 on my Samsung S95B was better than level 15 on the Sony. And we're talking about internal speakers, for people who just want to pay a large amount of money, have everything you need within that TV and call it a day. You're not able to do that. You still need a sound system, which most of us at that price point do tend to buy and have. But for the people who don't want to do that, because maybe it's for a smaller bedroom and don't really want to buy a second sound system, you should have good internal audio, and it doesn't. And then we get to the other aspect. The smart features aren't very smart at all. I mean, it's a very clunky user interface right down to sticking. I've mentioned this numerous times. But the biggest claim to fame is that Sony is just the best place to play for PS5. And this is something that I would openly challenge because the image quality on the Samsung S95B, as you're seeing, is exceptional. It truly is a sight for sore eyes. The motion is to die for, and you have all of anything that you could ever need or want out of a television. Picture wise, it's stunning and on another level. This can be experienced with the S90C, the LG C3, the LG G3, the Samsung S95B, of course, the S95C, and it gets to a point of hilarity. You're watching a company stand on the backs of purists, audiovisual purists, people who say that they're experts, have no idea what people actually want to see, and the moment an image approaches any kind of color or saturation that is normal or healthy for a picture to have, they wince at it and they say that it's cartoony because they have let themselves get so used to an outdated look that honestly it looks like it's an old school projector and they don't want anything outside of that. And these are the people doing these shootouts. These are the people telling you what to buy year in, year out. And you know what? They'll be back next year. The next Sony television in the A95 series will come out and they'll say the same thing. Oh my gosh, it's the king of all TVs. It's amazing. It's fantastic. They say this shit every year without fail. And it gets to a point where it's annoying. I'm tired of hearing this random company, the Value Electronics store. It's a fucking store, okay? It's a retail store. Like Best Buy, Target, Walmart. It's a fucking store, okay? We're letting a retail store tell us what the best TV is. And wouldn't you know, it's the most expensive thing in their damn store. I'm sorry to say, that's just not how life works, right? When you're looking at the most expensive OLED in their store and you're letting them say that this is the king of everything, as if they don't have some sort of vested interest in moving that kind of product. I'm sorry, but everybody knows that in retail, in luxury sales, it's the most expensive thing that you want to sell so that you can get the most return on your investment or commission or whatever the case may be. And then, wouldn't you know, Sony always turns around and Amazon always turns around and they promote the Value Electronics Shootout as an actual accolade for Sony. What in the actual hell has happened to consumer goods? I don't know. But they are exploiting social media. They are exploiting people's mindset that a large amount of followers is all that it takes to be credible in the world, and anyone without a large following just doesn't have a voice and they don't matter. It's to the point where we have to start realizing we need to start looking into things on our own and asking questions, which is why in my real-time tests, I tested the claim. And I showed in real time that in specific examples on certain chapters and movies you own and can verify yourself, all of the issues that I said existed will be present, regardless of what setting you select or how you optimize the television. Advanced user or super beginner, you're going to run into every problem that I mentioned on the Sony A95L. This is because it has room for growth that the other people don't care to tell you. Now, I'm not saying this to throw anybody under the bus, but I am saying this to be the only voice of reason and a cloud of arrogance and a crowd filled with people who just don't want to put that information out there because money is nice. Who doesn't want to get a big check? It's great when you're sponsored and you're getting stuff handed to you, or you have a lot of people looking to you for information and then you want to mislead them because you know that they'll just buy whatever you tell them because they're suckers, honestly. And if they can be duped, then you can keep duping and duping and duping, and it's going to pay off your mortgage. It's a hustle, and you're being hustled. And I'm going to tell you you're being hustled because I don't have to do that. I don't have to manipulate. I don't have to gaslight you. I can tell you the truth as it is. And as it is, these TVs are not at a point where one is better than the other to such a massive degree that one deserves to be $3,000 and the other not so much. And I think that's going to be the thing that a lot of them are going to be upset about. Now, people can say, oh, you're just mentioning price alone. But if you remember at the start of this video, I'm talking about the gaming features that almost are exclusive on Samsung and LG with the HDMI 2.1. I'm talking about, again, not having the best internal audio, getting beaten by something that was less expensive, and picture quality wise as well, it was getting beaten. I mean, it's to the point where the overrated nature of Sony is so apparent. If you run your own tests and post it to YouTube, it'd be very apparent for you to see the same thing and arrive at the same conclusion. Now, there are a group of people out there that will not listen to reason and will come on to this video and every other video, spout some emotional retort, give some rebuttal that's purely based in emotion, and none of it is fact. But I can tell you, show those examples that I showed, do the things that I was doing, and I promise you'll see exactly what I saw and how I saw them. And that lets you know that Sony truly is overrated. You're paying for a name, literally nothing more, because every other major brand right now is offering the same and better for less money. That lets you know Sony is out of touch with reality. They are out of touch with the times. They don't care that things are inflated. They believe that they can continue to charge a premium while not providing a true premium experience that is beyond anything everyone else is producing. You can decide for yourself if that's something that you can sign off on, but for me, I can't get behind that, and that's ultimately why Sony is truly overrated in 2023. If you have questions, ask them down below, but I'd love to hear what you think about this take here. Thanks for watching the number one brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.